Hey, so welcome back everyone with Performing Manual Stretching Part 3 with Deshawn. Today we'll be going over the lower body. Alrighty, so first we'll be getting into the hip and the hamstring. So first for the hip, abduction and adduction. So that would be taking the leg to the side away from the body and then adding it back to the body. So first the subject is expected to be lying down. So that's reclined and their legs are straight. And so the caregiver or the person performing the stretching will have one hand on the underneath the knee and the other one up under the heel of the foot, and they're taking that away from the body, feeling that stretch, and then coming back into a comfortable manner. That is abduction and adduction. And then we have hip flexion and extension. And so that's that hamstring stretch there. So we are going to bring the leg up, and you can do this with the leg bent or straight. But for it to be a hip stretch, you are holding underneath the thigh and the ankle, and you are bending the knee and the hip upward, as shown in picture number 2. And you're doing that to where they feel a comfortable stretch. And then you're returning back to that straight position. So following that, we have the knee and the calf. So the knee, when it comes to extension, it's straightening out that knee so the knee isn't bent. So mostly we're going to look into flexion, and when we're moving out of flexion, we're going to go into extension. And you'll see that in the video clip after this. So you are holding under their calf, kind of underneath their knee a little bit to have a better grip, and your hand is on their heel of their foot, and you're kind of pushing into that, bending them at the knee so they can feel a stretch there. And then for the calf stretch, you are holding the subject's heel again, and then you're going to bend at the ankle. So here in number 3, you see that they're actually just using the foot as a guide, and that will give a calf stretch. In the video following this, I have another example of after I'm doing a knee stretch, then I'm applying some pressure against the bottom of the foot to give a little bit more of a calf stretch while I'm in that motion. So those are the 2 different ways that you can do a calf stretch. So as we get down to the ankle, so for number 1, it is the patient's leg is lying flat and their foot is kind of hanging off to where it'll allow that mobility there. So your hand is on the right above the ankle, and one of the hands is around the foot, and you're kind of pressing down in the motion of pressing on a gas pedal. So and then you have number 2 where you are pushing from the balls of the foot. The guy in the picture from number 2 has his hands on the heel and then using his forearm as a way to push on the balls of his foot as well as the client's foot as well as the toes to kind of point it into a dorsiflexion. So now that we're moving down to the ankle, you want to make sure the same thing I've been saying is making sure everything's comfortable, making sure there's nothing too fast. So if you could see just now, her knee kind of jerked a little bit. It was a muscle spasm, or she also has clonus. So that is when it's an uncontrollable like muscle response, and that is normally resolved with deep pressure. And I can actually a video of that spasm down below. So the particular motion that I'm doing is a forward and backward. Almost think of yourself as pointing your foot to the sky and then down below. You want to do that slowly and apply a little bit of pressure there, but also asking what's comfortable. And at this point, I'm actually rotating her ankle in circular motions, and then I'm doing it the opposite direction. So forward and backward as if pressing on a gas pedal, and circular motion. And so for our last stretches, we have for the foot or the toe range of motion for flexion and extension. So the person is stabilizing the leg, but then using their dominant hand to bend the toes as well as straighten them. So bend the toes into flexion and then back into extension, and then for a little bit more of a stretch, you can bend it towards the patient if it's comfortable to get more of a hyperextension of the toes, just kind of getting a more of a stretch that way. So you made it to the end. You've learned the basics of how to stretch the upper and lower body of your client passively or manually. This is in the efforts to protect and strengthen their joints, reduce spasticity, and to improve circulation of blood or manage excess fluid to reduce edema. So thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate your time and your patience. Thank you so much.